Good morning or afternoon, MRHA listeners. Welcome back to the podcast, The Voice of Rural Health. Today we have on another special guest and organization, the ARC Central Chesapeake Region, with Greg and Dina. And I will let them both introduce themselves.
Great, Dina, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm Dina Kilman. I'm the Director of Engagement for the ARC Central Chesapeake Region.
Hi, everyone. My name is Greg Snyder. I'm the Chief of Staff for the ARC Central Chesapeake Region. I just want to thank Jonathan for this opportunity to share a little bit more about the ARC today.
Wonderful. Nice to meet both of you. And I have a question to kick it off here. It's a very broad question, but what is the ARC for our listeners, and what are the populations that you serve?
Oh, thank you for asking that question, Jonathan. The ARC Central Chesapeake Region was established 60 years ago in Annapolis, so it's not new. It was established by parents who envisioned a better future for their children with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Their vision was one of true inclusion in the community, where their children could live and work alongside others. They worked together at the time to close institutions and segregated programs, and advocated for the civil rights of their children and family members. Over the years, the ARC has grown from supporting a few dozen people to close to 3,000 today in our various programs. We support people living in Anne Arundel County and in 8 of the 9 Eastern Shore counties, so almost the whole Eastern Shore. While we provide direct ARC facilitated services to residents of Anne Arundel County, the Midshore and the Upper Shore, our family navigation and resource referral services are open to everyone. We provide residential options to our community through Chesapeake Neighbors, a fully owned subsidiary of the ARC that owns and manages over 60 accessible housing units. We do have one statewide program, which is open to anyone in Maryland, supported through the Self-Directed Services Program, which is a program that offers a lot of flexibility and independence to the participants. Over the years, the ARC has grown and changed to reflect the needs of our communities and families we support, and we continue to grow based on input from our stakeholders. Over the past 2 years, the need for our services has exploded, and we have grown substantially in response to the people we support across the entire state. The ARC supports thousands of people with disabilities, and we are also a large employer with an impactful bottom line in our communities, and in particular, we are a large employer in our rural communities. We offer a competitive benefits package, including healthcare, 403B, flexible scheduling, and opportunities to access a lot of training and education. That's a lot, but that kind of sums up a little bit of what we do. That's the 10,000, high overview there, Jonathan.
That's fantastic, Greg. Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on as well?
I was just going to say, I think Dina really summed it up perfectly. And something that we're really excited about at the ARC is our continued growth. And part of that growth is our continued expansion on Maryland's Eastern Shore. So within the next year, we'll be breaking ground in our new Eastern Shore headquarters in Easton. So we're really excited about that, where we will be having behavioral health services in there, affordable housing units in there, as well as workforce development and training for employees and the people we support. So we are really committed to our services and growth on the Eastern Shore, and that's only proven in our physical headquarters that we'll be breaking ground on next summer. So we're really excited about that growth and opportunities there.
And that's fantastic. And you mentioned Eastern Shore, and Eastern Shore, of course, is one of our priority areas at the Health Association, considering that all those counties on that side are designated rural by the state. And you mentioned a few of the programs that you have, but could you guys both elaborate on all the programs that you offer at the ARC?
Sure. It's complicated. So first off, I will tell you, if you have someone you support with an intellectual or developmental disability, or you are someone with an intellectual or developmental disability, we just want you to give us a call. We have a family navigator that can help you understand not only what we do for the community, but what other options are available in Maryland, and particularly in our rural areas. Linda Prohaska is our family navigator, and she does a fantastic job helping people out here on the Eastern Shore in particular access those little pockets of resources that they might not know about. And one of the things we like to emphasize is that our programs and supports are designed to help people with disabilities fully engage in the community in which they live. We have programs that include personal support services, workforce development, traditional day services activities, supported and community living. And of course, our newest program, which is so important, is behavioral health for people with disabilities. For families and children, we offer lots of stuff. One of the things we have is navigation services. Like I mentioned, if you just don't know where to turn, there's a new diagnosis in your family, you're having some sort of a challenge reaching resources in your area, you can always call us and we'll get you in touch with Linda. We have grants, we have programs throughout the year, such as Project Learn, the Family Fund, and Holiday Giving. And Project Learn, since we're talking about rural Maryland, is active right now in Caroline County. And it's a program designed to help children and their parents understand the IEP process in the schools. If you're not familiar, it just helps the children get the resources they need within the school system, and it's complicated. So Linda Prohaska and our Project Learn navigator helps them walk through that process in the school system. And that's a free program out in Caroline County now.
One program I was going to quickly touch on, since it's the time of year, is our Holiday Giving program. I think it's a really unique and impactful program that we do at the ARC Central Chesapeake Region. So like Dina said, it is a program that we do each holiday season during Christmas, Hanukkah, and the only requirement to be a part of the program for families that apply is that you have one child with an intellectual developmental disability. So the families each provide a list of gifts and toys of interest for their children, and the ARC works to get those children and families adopted so that they are able to have gifts for their children during the holiday season. And on top of that, we provide each of the families with a $100 grocery gift card to help pay for groceries during the holidays as well. So it's a really impactful and meaningful program that we do, and that I'm particularly very proud of. And for context, last year we sponsored 250 families, and this year we are close to 390 families that we will be sponsoring. So the growth of the program, the support of the program from the community is huge. And if anyone's ever interested in the future, we would love to have your support next year and the years to come as far as this program and helping us continue it to grow.
That's wonderful hearing, all the programs that you have to offer at the ARC, and, they make the direct impact to the community, which is, absolutely wonderful to hear. And, you mentioned families and children, and can you give me a little bit more of an idea for our listeners as to, are there any age requirements for the programs that you have to offer? And, what is the cost associated with accessing one of the programs?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So people supported in direct services or in self-directed services through the ARC must be enrolled in programs through Maryland's Developmental Disabilities Administration. This is a pretty complex process, but we have a really amazing hands-on admissions and referral team that can help people understand how to get supports. There's no cost to these programs to people involved, as it is funded by the state of Maryland. For our children's programs, such as Holiday Giving and the Family Fund, there's also no cost. These programs are funded through grants or our generous donors and other community resources. So while for children we don't provide direct supports, we do have the Family Fund, which is kind of a really unique fund that we created. It basically helps provide funds for families for things that insurance may not cover, so different programs, things that help the children that are impacted by IDD. For your reference, the ARC's total revenue in fiscal year 2022 was just over $205 million, and the total expenses were almost $203 million. The majority of our revenue, $173 million, or 84%, came from our self-directed services program, which includes $165 million in direct payments, $6.2 million in management fees, and another $2 million in miscellaneous revenue. After self-directed services, the most significant source of revenue is living options and services at 11.3%. And living options and services encompasses our community living, supported living, and personal supports. And to touch on that a little bit, for those that may not be familiar with self-directed services program, it's a program that the state of Maryland facilitates, and it gives families a little more flexibility if they don't want to use a specific provider. So basically, they choose one of three of these providers in the state, and the ARC Central Chesapeake Region is one of the three, and we basically help them with all of the back end stuff. So whether that's their tax documents, helping them with hiring, firing, putting their staffs together, putting plans together, we are basically the back end for that and facilitating that. It's a little more flexibility, so they can choose how many staff they want, the hours they want the staff. So it's an option that a lot of people don't know of, but it's an option that's out there that people could tap into if they're interested in that.
It's really popular in our rural communities too, because it's hard to get staff. But this, through self-direction, you can hire your friends or your family or someone you're close to in the community to be your staff. So it's a really flexible program for people with disabilities to get the support right in their own hometown. So it has had explosive growth during COVID, but it's really great. It gives the person with disabilities lots of options to be out in the community and do what they choose.
No, that's fantastic. And, you got me thinking about, one question there with your last statement about COVID. How has COVID impacted the programs and services at the ARC over the past couple of years?
Yeah, Dina, if you want to, so I just joined the ARC in August, and Dina was actually here on the ground during that. So I think her perspective would be a little more valuable than mine.
Yeah, it was challenging, but I will say the ARC is very technology forward. So we immediately almost, I want to say, well, for one, we never went out of operation. There were always people working at the ARC the entire time. And the people in our day services and our more community-based programs, we obviously couldn't get together, but we went Zoom almost immediately. We had tons of programs during the day and in the afternoon and even at night for the people we support. And then the people we support in our workforce programs, were in many cases considered essential employees. So they work in grocery stores. They do jobs that are imperative, like cleaning, things like that out in the community that needed to go back. Those people needed to go back. So our coaches did a lot of coaching by Zoom. They did a lot of coaching by FaceTime. And the people we support were back at it pretty quick. As soon as they felt comfortable and as soon as they were allowed, they were back in the community with all the, PPE, our face mask and all that in place. And they did a great job. That also caused some of this growth in the self-directed services program that I was mentioning. Because again, particularly out in your rural markets, there weren't a lot of employees to be had. So if you had something you needed to do, you could hire someone in your direct community or your circle of support to be your staff. And that has proven to be really liberating for a lot of the people we support. And it will continue on. This growth is not stopping. They are very excited to have all these choices and all this independence. So while it was very, very challenging, we were thrilled to be able to offer all these options to the people in our communities.
That's wonderful. And I'm glad to hear that you were able to adapt and overcome, like many of our, members and organizations, using that technology to advance their mission, but also finding new ways to serve their clients was something that they had to do. And so we're glad to hear that. And while we get ready to wrap up the podcast, I do have another question, and that is, what are some upcoming programs that you would love to highlight? And then, of course, we want to know how we can get in touch with you and your staff if they want to access those programs.
Great. So all of our adult programs run continually 365 days a year. Something that I touched on a little bit before is our exciting news about our Port Street Commons project that we are developing in Easton. It is slated to begin construction in summer of 2023. The Mid-Shore Regional Council recently approved this project as an addition to the comprehensive economic development strategy, and they consider an important potential impact on filling known community needs, like we said. So the new behavioral health center, there'll be 9 affordable housing units in there, 2 of which will be dedicated to Talbot Interfaith shelter, which we have a partnership with, and then the rest will be given out through a lottery process through the town of Easton. So across the shore in Anne Arundel County and all the places we serve, we've noticed a need for quality, affordable housing. So we're excited to be a part of that. The Port Street Commons facility will be about 25,000 square feet. And like I said, it will consist of office space, program space. It'll have a community hub for the people we support. And I think this is just a testament to our continued growth, like Dee and I have been highlighting, and how our team has been able to adapt the past couple of years during COVID. It wasn't easy, but we've, I think, navigated it very well. And then other upcoming program, like I said, is our holiday giving program. So we're excited about that and looking forward to helping families that need it most during this holiday season.
Yeah, and I want to touch on too, Project Learn in the school system is continually operating. We have Project Learn Leadership Academy cohorts in Caroline County and Anne Arundel County. So that is awesome for our kids navigating the IEP process. It's very empowering. So please get in touch with us at resources at the arcccr.org, and our family navigator will get back in touch with you. And then our newest program, Greg and I are very excited, is called Living Boldly, and it's a self-advocacy group for people we support. And again, we want to make sure that people in our communities know that they can join in at any time. They're welcome to call us, and we'll put them in touch with the group coordinator. And that group is to help people understand how they can be empowered, how they can ask for the support they need. They can advocate and lobby. One of the things we do is come to the State House actually several times during session. And we want people with disabilities to be able to have some support if they want to do that, like for DD Day and Calendar Day and Rural Maryland Day and all those wonderful things we do. And Living Boldly will help them do that. There'll be several people helping coordinate that. And in particular, out here from the Eastern Shore, if they've never been to the State House and they want to try it, we would love to help them get involved so they can have their voice be heard.
That's wonderful. And right around the corner is the legislative session start here in January. So I know that you're both are probably prepping a little bit for that. I know that we at MRHA are getting geared up for the legislative session, and we will make sure that we link all of your contact information in the bio and description. And then when the podcast is launched on social media, that is also available to our listeners as well. And before we wrap up here, is there any last minute comments that you would like to make for our listeners to hear?
I was just going to say thank you for this opportunity to share more about
Absolutely.
the ARC and the great work that we do, and looking forward to continued partnership with you and your team. And for those that want to learn more about the ARC, you can visit us at www.thearcccr.org, as well as our social media channels. We have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and they're all under the handle the ARC Central Chesapeake Region. We also have a newsletter. Sign up on our website, or you can simply email us. If you have any questions, Dina's email is dkilman, KILMON, at thearcccr.org, and mine is gsnyder, SNYDER, at thearcccr.org.
And then just to touch on that, resources at thearcccr.org. And there is no small question. Anyone, you do not have to be supported or enrolled or give us your name or anything to email and ask a question. There is no dumb question. This is a very complicated process, getting supports from the state. And we want to make sure that everyone is welcome to call, to email or call us at 410-269-1883 and ask for the family navigator, and she will help you.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you both, Greg and Dina, so much for being on the podcast and giving a robust overview of the ARC and the services that you have to offer to our rural Marylanders. And we'll make sure that, again, everything is linked in the description if you would like to contact the ARC about their services. Again, thank you so much and for being on.
Thank you, Jonathan.